What's up, everybody? And just like that, we're back with another episode of Welcome to the Future podcast. On today's episode, we have, of course, my co-host, the MC, the GOAT, Mr. Mike Howard, who is our CHO, who is our Chief Horticulture Officer. He knows everything that you need to know about growing, cultivation, anything that you guys need to know. As I'm sure you've seen through season 1 and as we're on season 2, Mike has been a consistent voice. He's been a constant voice. And if you've been in contact with Fohse or you have our fixtures, many of you have already dealt with him. So it's great to have him on as always, Mike. But without further ado, we also have our special guest, Mr. Daniel Marshall of Dr. Dabber. He is their head of sales. And for those of you that don't know, Dr. Dabber is a Las Vegas-based company. During the episode, you'll see a few little snapshots of what they have to offer and some of their new releases. But before we get into it, I just want to read about their bio and about the company. It says, as a technology-driven vaporizer company, Dr. Dabber focuses on creating products that are custom-tailored to the customer's needs. They understand those needs are better than most because they're not just like anyone else. They understand those needs much better because they're just like you. They created Dr. Dabber in 2013 to solve the issue of questionable quality and dated technology that we had experienced ourselves as unsatisfied customers. We set out with the goal to create a better quality vaporizer built out with the best materials and backed by an awesome customer support team. Fast forward to today, they're proud to offer an entire line of award-winning vaporizers to suit every situation. What started with Dr. Dabber as Ghost, one of the most awarded vaporizers pens of all times, has now turned into an operation where the entire design engineering process for each of our vaporizers is done in-house, from start to finish by our talented engineers and designers with the solitary goal of building proprietary technologies to improve every aspect of your experience possible. So obviously, what a great way to roll out a mission and vision statement. Obviously, you guys saw a problem. You saw an issue. Obviously, you guys were users of products within the cannabis space to consume it, and you weren't happy. So how did you guys get started with Dr. Dabber? Let's get into the origin of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Leo. Thanks for the intro. Yeah. Thank y'all for having me. Really appreciate it. Dr. Dabber was pretty much birthed on, necessity. Back in 2013, everything was for e-liquids, for vaporizing nicotine. Everything got red hot. Nothing really was designed for taking dabs. Of course, at the caliber of dabs we're smoking now, you do not want it to be red hot. We want a nice low temperature. So we really lowered the resistance, which lowered the temperature settings on the pens, creating that first true dab pen experience. And that was the Dr. Dabber Ghost. When you would hit on that, if you guys hit the Ghost, man, the temps were so pleasing. You actually taste your terps with that singular temperature setting. Had that silica wick with the titanium, and it's definitely come a long way now. We have rigs that'll heat up within 7 seconds. So coming from the pen style vape, putting out the first e-rig in 2015 to market, putting out the Switch, our first induction based vape with flower and concentrates, to the Evo cup holder size, take that thing anywhere you need to go, and not to the XS. So it's crazy to see it evolve and just birthing it from necessity and convenience. Our CEO, Jamie Rosen, was a big poker player back in the day. I'm sure a lot of you guys may know this, and he really was spearheaded that movement of creating that first true dab pen.
It's crazy to see kind of the parallel between how you guys found yourself in the market and then just some parallel between our lights too, because like you said, a lot of the vape technology at that point was geared towards nicotine at high temperatures, and it didn't really suit the quality and the effect that you were looking for in cannabis.
Right.
Just like with old school technology like HPS that produces a ton of radiant heat, and that excess heat can burn off terps, right? At some point. So you don't want to do that. So having LEDs like we offer really preserves that terp so you can have a good product that ends up in the dab rig one day. So it's kind of a similar niche that we found and expanded upon.
And I mean, it talks about being experts too, because I mean, in order to be an expert, you have to be able to assess a problem, see what is the solution before you actually identify it to a degree, because you're like, I know you need something. We just have to figure out what it is.
Right.
But with you guys already being in this space and utilizing a lot of different products and being unsatisfied, it made it easy for you to find a solution, right? And the same goes for us, is because obviously when we go in grows, when we meet with clients, we hear the problems, and a lot of their problems are consistent. And for the ones that aren't, we still can hear some consistency in what's wrong, and then when we look at the fixtures, what they need and the solutions that we offer, we know that because we've been able to assess, what the solution is before kind of saying which fixture.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, beautifully said. Like, you really understand the customer's needs, you know, what people want. And that kind of our solution was to make consumption simple, clean, and efficient for everyone. Dabbing is dabbing, especially not just smoking cannabis, is a very intimidating aspect. You got to have a torch, you got to have a nail, you got to have a proper rig, you got to heat it up for a specific amount of time, let it cool for a specific amount of time. I mean, some of y'all probably been dabbing for a while. You remember the titanium swings. Maybe you've done the safety pin thing in the cup and you swoop it up real quick before that. You know what I mean?
The straw.
Then it was like titanium nails, highly educated, and then into ceramic nails, and then we're into quartz. So it's kind of like the evolution of that. You're trying to understand the problem within the industry. It was inconvenient consumption methods. Not that we're trying to replace quartz banger dabs or anything like that. We love traditional dabs, but making it simple and accessible to everybody with a device. You just press a button and you can heat up your concentrates on the go. Now everyone has access to that medicine.
Nice.
One thing I think about is, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, as like newer consumers get into the market too, it's a way easier entry to dabbing when it's this easy, this smooth,
and you automatically identify a customer. That was just what I was going to say, is because you automatically, like, of course, the traditional ones are great, but those are for people that have a full ecosystem of products at home. They switch this one out for that one. Obviously, they're more heavy duty. It may be not even just intimidating, but completely confusing because there's so many pieces you want to learn about.
Absolutely.
And for me, when I first tried it outside of you guys, it felt a little, what's the word I can use? It felt a little interesting to use. It felt like it was something other than cannabis. I'll say that. If you get what I'm saying, it felt like it was something other than cannabis. And I think the simplicity of what you guys offer makes it less of an overwhelming experience for people to consume, and they get to do it discreetly. You know, so that's the other piece.
Yeah,
that's
sometimes
important.
having a torch there's a stigma behind having a torch. Like, the devices should be non-offensive, something you're proud to display on your countertop. You know, the switch and the Evo light up, the excess is more discreet. It's a conversation piece. You come over, your parents aren't going to be like, what is that? Someone can open it up to people, like increasing the acceptance of cannabis. It doesn't matter who it is.
And you guys have constantly evolved too, which is cool to see. You've like realized the new tech, you keep making it better, you keep making it more accessible.
There are a lot of similarities too, because I mean, one, listening to the community, and for you guys, it's the community of customers and consumers, and for us, it's our clients and our customers, because obviously with every fixture we have, we try to, you know, get the best COAs, the best case studies, and try to walk with them through the process to really get an understanding on how we can improve. At what process can we make better? Is that through the sales process? Is that the delivery and you get them up? What support can we do? How soon can we send Mike, you know, to get you dialed in a bit sooner? There's a lot of parallels there with what the company values. And then the other thing I think about, Mike, what do you think about tech with them in comparison to how we've been able to integrate tech and LED?
Yeah, I was just going to segue into that. One of the cool things when you were talking is it's a very complex unit. And then you guys have also figured out how to create a simple ease of use as well for the customer, right? So it makes it easy and seamless, but it's a complicated piece of tech. It's similar to our fixtures, right? There's a lot that goes into it, but at the end of the day, like our flagship series, A3i, Scorpio, Aries, it's got 3 different spectrum settings. So we've done the research, we've done the trials to figure out 3 presets that work throughout that, you know, vegetative or flowering period to make a complex piece of tech easier to use for the end user, and it translates. So it's cool to see that parallel as well.
Yeah, I could imagine being a home grower trying to get involved, what kind of lights you need. It can be a very overwhelming experience. There's a lot of information to take in. I'm sure they appreciate the ease of use 100%. With your guys'
and
tech.
The right information. I mean, because with you guys, I mean, outside of it just being an overwhelming thing using other hardware, it's also a lot of unanswered questions that you run into too. With temperature, how hot, what happens to me? So you take a lot of user error, you know, that room for error, you eliminate that for users. And that's the first thing that they look at. Again, it comes to our fixtures. Is what can you guarantee me that will eliminate X, Y, and Z off rip? Because these are problems right away. So if I don't want to carry a torch, if I want to put it in my bag and go to the basketball game and go outside, or for us, if I want to have a smaller room, but I need just as much the amount of light, how can I do so with less fixtures? There are some comparisons there where I think, as we talked about in the beginning, with being able to assess the problem and then offer a solution there.
Absolutely.
You know, you've given complete control to the consumer, which is great.
What's really cool too is how you were talking about kind of incorporating the community and even traditional glass blowers too.
Oh yeah.
Can you speak upon what you guys have opened that up to that community? Because I think incorporating whether it's like legacy, community, or just people who have been doing this before legalization. I think it's super important to listen to them, and then also make them feel like they're welcome within your product too, right? So I think what you guys did is really cool. I just want to throw it over to you to kind of speak about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great segue. We love to support the community and the culture, and we did a second edition of the Glass Masters contest. And so that was with the Evo device here. We opened it up to any American blown artist. We have 40 different entries to just submit their custom piece, one of one, to the top. My favorite has to be like Dan Hoffman or Siren Apparatus. We'd had some big hitting names this year from like Matt Robertson. We had Salt Glass win the People's Choice. So a lot of the artists came through the Glass Vegas and just wanted to thank us for what we were doing for them and just how easy it is to build that platform for them to make a custom top. So make sure you check out Still Smoking LV. They've got some of the pieces in stock. It was the Dr. Dabber Glass Masters. Oh, again, over 40 artists entered. There was even a big, fully functioning ray gun where you would plug the Evo right into like the magazine area, and you would hit from the bump stock area. Nice. And it actually had a green laser on it, full recycler, and you could actually put a nail in it and smoke it as a traditional ray too, which was pretty interesting. I think that was SNO glass, snow glass.
Very cool. Nice.
And even the Salt Glass with his traditional. He likes those creatures with the teeth and the tongues. Really? And Matt Robertson, he does creatures like rams, and he did a giraffe, which was pretty sick. And Unparalleled Glass won first place. Shout out to Kaya. Unparalleled. Where they based out of? He's based out of Colorado. Okay, cool. He actually blew like a succulent like piece for the Evo, and it had a kinetic motion on the inside. It was like a succulent split open, and there's like the flowers on the inside spinning, and there was two of the fruiting flowers on the top, like right by the mouthpiece. It was absolutely beautiful.
So cool.
That sounds complex as hell.
Very complex.
Jason Davis of Jerome Baker, he kind of gave us, Jason Harris, I'm sorry. He gave us kind of like an inside look at what they have to go through when they create those pieces, you know, even with connecting them and the inspiration with how they go about even being inspired to create. The first thing that I think about is industry advancement, right? With us, again, tying it back to our fixtures, because I mean, the integration of technology and industry innovation is imperative for you guys. And for us, you know, that's how you set a standard in the industry, by raising the bar. It's offering something quality, something that people haven't had before, but again, offering something that people need. And people need this, you know, because again, if smoking traditionally isn't your thing or bongs aren't your thing and you want to have an alternative, you want to have something that you like, right? You know, regardless of the price point, people pay for what they want. I believe in affordability when you're creating products, but I also believe in if your product is great, the price point should reflect it, but people will buy what's necessary.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is a perfect example.
Yeah, I've definitely seen, you know, the Switch when it came out being a $400 product that we wasn't too sure how well it was going to do. I don't think there was many vaporizers at that price point when it came out, but people really believed in the technology and Dr. Dabber itself. You know, it should be simple, clean, and efficient. And that's the ethos of the Switch. Turn the switch, press the button, and you're on the way. So people really were fucking with the Switch at that $400 price point, and we appreciate every single one of them. Like kind of how you say, it doesn't matter. You could put out a really subpar product and charge under the barrel for it, and then you'd be known for that. You'd be known for having a subpar product that's cheap. Absolutely, and word spreads fast from the people. So
people want to know that the company that they're buying into is also spending the money, not just getting all the people up top rich and buying properties and you know, trying to get more of a mass coverage in the market. They look at people who invest the money back into the company, whether it's R&D. One thing that reflects too, we have our engineering in-house, we have our light mappers in-house, we have our designers in-house, we have horticulture in-house. So that's really important, because when people do support a product, they want to know that it's actually being cared for and maintained and created from the people that actually consume. One thing that we focus on here with marketing is we want to really make sure that our products are, one moment.
You gotta hit it back on.
We make sure that our products are,
press and hold.
Press and hold.
Yeah. There you go. See, I got to get this right. Up. Boom. We make sure that our products are user-friendly with the user in mind, but it's also our responsibility when people buy into your product and support a business that you keep improving it to ensure that the customers get the tip-top product at all times.
Absolutely. And I feel like that definitely shows from what I've seen walking around your warehouse. And again, I can relate that in parallel to what we do here at Dr. Dabber. Everything we do, we're trying to push the boundaries. So if we sell vaporizers, that money's going right back into R&D to make the sickest products, to make them smaller, more compact, more efficient. easier for everyone. Like I can give this to my aunt, my grandma, my mom. She'd be able to figure it out. But trying to give her something like a torch to use an alternative medicine is not really going to be as accepted.
100%.
So we absolutely love just putting it back into the company to further the tech. We're not trying to just get rich overnight here. We're just big dabbers, just like everyone else.
Another thing that comes to mind that I think about is, like you say, with establishing a higher price point, it's intimidating to some.
Right.
But one, for me, if it's an honest company that has really, really done their due diligence in creating a quality product, you're happy when the price point is a bit high. You know, if you look at cars, if you look at computers with Macs, if you look at phones with Apple, if you look at shoes, you know, you always have that high price point that's at the top because that establishes the brand as that reputable brand that people desire to have. Right. And after you desire to have it for a long time and you develop that appetite, it's smart to offer a lower price point because then the people that couldn't quite get that have been waiting, it's like, oh, I couldn't get the big one. Oh, I still have to get something by Dr. Dabber. So let me get the excess.
Very well said.
So what are some... Yeah, it's smooth. And only when you hear us coughing, we're not coughing because it's harsh. It's more so we're just pulling in a lot of smoke. And for me, I don't dab often. And the way that is super clean, is really clear, and it's tasty still is really, really impressive.
Yeah, can you walk us through these snaps? Because I saw that and I lost my fucking mind.
I thought it was just breaking the Q-tip.
Everyone needs these. Like if you're a dabber and you don't have these, you're slacking, man.
If you're not wiping your banger, I always refer to Big Daddy. Like you don't wipe your own ass. Like. Definitely, you want to maintain your E-chamber. It's perforated at the blue tip and there's isopropyl inside. My pro tip is to dry anything that's left in the chamber. You should always have something left too, otherwise you're going in too hot. Right. I'll snap it on a surface so I don't get my fingers sticky. ISO rushes to the tip. And you clean any excess. The alcohol will evaporate at room temp. And you're pretty good to go. I mean, that's like back to its original state. It's so very clean on the inside. And if you do that, your E-chambers will last you at least 10 months, guys.
Keep it clean. Keep the flavor good.
Keep it clean. Tell me this is next to God.
Keep it in tip-top shape. Have you seen Dr. Dabber advance the industry with your competitors? Have you seen them kind of take little nuggets from what you guys have done to advance their products? Or have you seen the elevation happen?
Yeah, it definitely seems like the services needs to be elevated within the industry. I feel like we really pride ourselves on not only our high quality products, but our customer service. Yeah. So if you ask anyone who's ever dealt with Dr. Dabber, they'll probably tell you that we have really good customer service as well as our good products. So I think we'll kind of see the industry shifting into more being customer driven, care about your customers more, kind of like patience over profits kind of thing. We're not just trying to get rich off people. We actually want to take care of the community. I've definitely seen the industry advancing, trying to make smaller devices. I haven't seen anyone really doing quartz E-chambers like us. I feel like that really sets us apart. Right. And our vapor pathway is exclusive. Like it just goes right from the E-chamber to the water. So I haven't really seen much imitation like that. There's been a couple induction-based vapes, so I feel like we're kind of leaders of our own pack. I like to say apples and oranges, man. We like to differentiate ourselves from the pack.
Absolutely. You should. Absolutely. To stand out, I mean, you should. Of course, you want to have some similarity so people can have the association. Right. So it pops up in the mentions of other products that are similar, but when it comes to the deal breaker, that differentiator is the one that takes it home. How did you get your start in Dr. Dabber? I know you said you've been with them 7 years. 7 years looking back from when you started up until now. Let's talk about what you were doing prior to and then seeing the industry advance within the 7 years. You know, how is it now?
Man, so I started over a decade ago working in the smoke shop industry at Mr. Bill's locally in Las Vegas, was a store manager over there, and seeing the technology that we had like air risers, Atmos was big then. I was selling a lot of those competing devices and volcanoes, of course. It was a different game up there. I don't think people were spending as much money on consumable vaporizers like they are now. People were mostly into the vapes, the globes. They had like the little batteries with the glass globe on it, I'm sure. That was like the big hitters around this time. I'm talking like over 10 years ago. And then I just going to Champs as a buyer for Mr. Bill's, met up with Dr. Dabber and actually purchasing the pens. That kind of was my initial interaction with them. Shout out to Tuffy. I purchased some pens from him. They're like, oh, they're doing free dabs over here. We got to go to the Dr. Dabber booth. So of course you're going to go buy. You go by 1, 2, 3 times. You got You got to buy something now. They load you up a pen, send you on your way. A couple years later, man, it was 2016 January. I'm working at Mr. Bill's, have my Dr. Dabber hat on. The same homie comes in, Andy, we call him Tuffy, and he notices my hat, and we kind of have that like, oh shit moment. And he asked me if I want a job, and of course I want a job. Right. Yeah. And he said he's gonna send me a new hat. Of course, working in the smoke shop, people tell you they'll send you whatever all the time. Take it with a grain of salt. Man actually came through, sent me a hat the next day. I'm like literally at the DMV renewing my license. It's a weird story, like smoking my Dr. Dabber pen. I get a call. He's like, bro, you come in for an interview. I got the clearance, brought a resume, and just started as a grunt in the warehouse. You know, literally It was just Tuffy and myself. He trained me in the warehouse. We really built out the whole warehouse team. Company had originally come from Florida at that time, just like literally one of the first hires in Las Vegas, and built out the warehouse team, built out the customer service team, all referrals. And man, we just kind of being the dishwasher for 3-4 years, taking over more responsibilities, doing the activations, doing the events, just kind of trying to show more of initiative. I'm ready to do it. Activations and events translated into sales when we were able to have our own in-house sales team. We removed exclusivity from our distributors. So it's kind of growing into the sales position and just kind of just wanting to learn more and just like taking the initiative, guys, and being a drive. If anyone wants to get in the cannabis industry, definitely recommend taking the initiative. And now, man, 7 years later, I have my own sales team. We've traveled all over the world selling Dr. Dabber products, and we're selling out our newest product all over the world. So it's crazy to see the transition, not only personally, but like through Dr. Dabber, going from small pens to the Boost Black, was a 2015 product, came in a little wood box, then into the Switch. It's crazy induction technology, now into the Evo, even smaller, now to the XS. So seeing it evolve and almost being a part of that is so humbling and inspiring on so many levels.
Nice.
Mike, what do you think about, so when we think about advancement in industry progression over time, how do you see Fohse continuing to progress the industry? And then I'll ask you the same with how do you see Dr. Dabber? How do you see Fohse, if we take the same principles on, again, assessing a problem, identifying a solution, and then going and creating it, because you have to identify it before creating it. They can't exist out of order like that, you know? Starting with the F1V, the A3I, how do you see Fohse continuing to progress the industry for not just cultivators and growers, but people even in the tech space with understanding LED from our perspective?
Yeah, and I think it's a similar approach.
Yeah.
That we were just going, sorry, dabs are kicking in. It's a similar approach, right? We're listening to the community. We've got growers on staff. We've got 4 growers on staff now who have either run facilities, who have been doing this for 20 years. We make sure that we're incorporating ourselves with the community and we're part of the community. Yeah. Everyone here smokes. When people first get hired, I make sure they can roll a joint, right? Like, we're about this. So it's having people who are part of the community. It's listening to the community and it's adapting and making sure that you're always evolving. So our fixtures are great, right? But we're also adding to the line of fixtures that we have. We're coming out with new lights. We're opening up that price point so it's more palatable to other growers, smaller growers, home growers, people who have a lower barrier to entry into this market. And we just keep evolving. We're coming out with modular light bars that have infrared, UV, and then green light, right? So that you have a little bit more control. You can have the green light on when you need to do sprays or maintenance in the room and it's dark. We have the UV so people can start experimenting with that. There's a lot of research that's going on behind that and IR treatment. So we're listening to the community and we're constantly adapting. Having engineers in-house too allows us to do that at a rapid speed. We come up with ideas. Alex and I will shoot ideas off of each other, and all of a sudden, like 2 months later, we got that product in hand and we're testing it. Yep. So being able to evolve and do it in an efficiently and fast way keeps us in this business, right? It makes sure that we're going to be in it for a long time, I think, too. So
thank you for that, Mike. But going to you now, Dan, how has it been for you with looking at where you are now and then seeing the advancement of the industry and what the future holds?
Yeah, man, the next generation of Dr. Dabber is going to be very exciting. Again, taking from the community and internal culture of what we believe, how consumption methods are, or how they should be, excuse me. I would say, like, if you can clearly identify why do you wake up in the morning and do what you do, like, of course, the result is a profit. Everybody wants to make money, but like, why do you do what you do? Like, why do you wake up and produce lights and come here and grind? So we just want it to be simple, clean, and efficient, and to look for it to be even more simple, even more efficient for your materials and your pocketbook. So you should be able to put a small amount of material and it's going to last forever. We want to stretch out your concentrates in the next generation, of course, your battery life, and it'll kind of be like our same design family, just better. We're always going to just make it better. There's only so little I can say.
Right, for sure, yeah.
Well,
that's still enough.
It's cool to see because as concentrates have evolved over the years, so has your product to make sure that those concentrates are being utilized in the most efficient way possible, and also to give the end user the best experience they can have too, right? And I think that shows you have to constantly adapt and evolve as this product changes. Yeah. And you guys have done a great job at that.
It's like gas in, gas out, right? Yep. Shit in, shit out. Like whatever you put into it is going to be the end result. So like, again, in regards to your high quality materials you put in our device, we understand people are spending a good amount of money on that. Right. So we want them to be able to taste how it's supposed to taste, the manufacturer intended. And you're not going to have to put a whole bunch in there to get that desired effect. You may even find your pocketbook is stretched longer because you put a little bit of material in and you're getting that same desired effect. I'll say with the switch, the induction based heating, that is a whole different experience, a whole different high when you use the switch versus the XS because of the little bit of material and the potency I feel like is increased, maybe because of the anaerobic vaporization. There's no oxygen in the chamber, so maybe the effects are increased, but definitely stay tuned for an even advancement of the next generation. We love the small devices. It seems like people love the portability and ease of use, so we want to just kind of build on that.
Well, I'll make sure that we definitely stay in touch. I know obviously you're a great colleague of Mike's, and you're officially Fohse family now. So we love to keep in contact with you, whether it's doing some exclusive event where you guys have some new products, getting some of our clients here that have some of their concentrates and some of their products. Obviously that does flower, so that's a whole nother piece of value that's added there where some will be limited. Because I think it's really important to stress on quality. And, you know, if you have a quality product that's consuming quality, as you said earlier, you're also preserving value for the customer because they just spent a lot of money. Right. They spent a lot of money on their concentrates. They spent a lot of money on the product itself or the hardware. And you want to make sure that it's the best user experience.
Absolutely.
You know, for sure.
Man, that excess for that price point though, I still can't get over it. It makes so much sense. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's killer. I think you can find some at Still Smoking, LV. They probably have some in stock. We're completely out of stock right now. They've been flying. Thank you to the community for showing us that mad love.
You guys did something right.
It shows you listen because it's sold out because that's what people said they wanted. Like, why create something that we're literally telling you no? And you create it anyway. And you're like, now how do I get rid of 5,000 little mini? It's like, well, we didn't ask for that. So, you know, it's up to you.
Yeah. I was like, we love the Switch, but just can you make it smaller? So you'll see the design takes nods from like the Evo and the Switch on the XS.
Yeah. Yeah, you still can see the body shape, the little arm. Oh, I've never noticed that.
It reads, it has that nice hourglass, but then it has like the textile grip like the Evo on the side.
Dude, that jalapeno, I love that XS.
This fits the lip perfectly. Like, if there's you're not like, you know, some of them are just where you're trying to figure out lip placement.
It's at the perfect level. You don't have to like tilt your head back or forward. A lot of thought went into it. I know it just seems like for some, but dude, we tested these things out the yin yang, man. So many hours of testing, especially the Switch. So many hours of when it's all spread out on the big board, just like hitting it and hitting it and hitting it until the temperatures are dialed, till everyone is satisfied. Otherwise, it's not going to get out the door until everyone's pleased.
That's some of the best R&D you can have for a work experience, though, right?
Absolutely. It's very bonding. Like, not everyone's going to participate, of course, because they're not as a heavy users, but we have our A team at the office. Our engineer says he's sending us to space. You know, he's building the rocket ship, and we're the test pilots. Yeah,
there you go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you see the two. We're back to trying some of the products, but as we continue to try the product, and as you continue to learn about Dr. Dabber and Fohse, I hope that is something that really inspires you to really, really go about quality in all that you do. Granted, price matters. You know, affordability is key, but you have to look at what you're buying, the quality of what you're buying, and the benefit of what you buy, because that's really automatically going to improve the ROI that you've just spent, as if it's quality, because there's going to be a huge benefit for your use. So, you know, again, Dan, thank you for stopping by. Mike, it's always good to have you. For you guys that are tuning in, we'll have to piece this together because it's been a great episode. But we look forward to many more opportunities like this where we can speak to movers and shakers in the industry and really, really learn about what they're doing. You know, that's the point of this podcast, is to give a voice to some of the people that you don't see. you see the product, but you don't see the people behind it. And in this opportunity, you get to see the people behind it with Fohse, as just as well as Dr. Dabber and other brands. So in the meantime and in between time, be sure to tune in to www.fohse.com every Thursday at 1:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a new episode each week. Also, if you're watching this, click below and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Catch our client highlights, our podcast, and any recap content that we have out. It'll be there available for you. Alrighty, it's been good. Take care.
Peace.